Jay. All right, go next page. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Issuenight. And if you've never seen the show before, we talk about the important, the serious issues of the day that, frankly, Tony, you don't see in today's media.
Right. That's why we're here.
Yep. Okay. Why don't we get on to our first set of issues? And, we like to call these transporter problems, actually. Tone, what are we talking about? I've been reading a lot about these transporter problems. You have more on this.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's been some issues with the transporters. They've been practicing teleporting, and I'm sure you've seen the news articles. There was the pig lizard that when they transported it came out backwards, inside out. And then there's the guy who with the fly head and stuff. Right. So they're really trying to, they did a software update. I mean, it's basically digitizing people or objects and sending the digits somewhere else and conveying them somewhere else and then rebuilding them. Right. But these problems have kind of gotten in the way. It's kind of like knuckle puck. Every fifth one works.
Never played that.
And so... if you're the fifth person, that's great. But if 1 through 4, not so good. So they're finding it's dangerous. They want to do something different. The advantage of these things is, as you know, if we go to the moon again, and instead of like trying to land on the moon or land on Mars, the idea is to digitize the person and then send them down. So what they've decided to do is, they'll still digitize you, but then they'll send your information to one of those 3D printers. You send the printer down, and then they'll print you onto the surface.
Right.
So have you heard of some of these problems? And do you think this is a good solution?
I've heard that they take your DNA and they're actually digitizing your DNA.
Yeah.
And they're the problem is when they print you, they still don't have a way of printing motion. It's just a still, like you're locked in a freeze, so you really can't move.
Well, they're definitely going to have to animate you somehow, I think.
Right.
So
I would say that would make life more interesting.
Well, this is a problem now. Now we need an animator in there, so we got to hire an animator, and he's got to guess what you're going to do. So once they transport you to your destination,
right.
He's like, the guy's is still, Jimmy, you need to animate this guy, and,
right.
That's a problem.
So you got the digital conveyor guy, the guy doing the scan, and then there's some computer stuff, and then you're sending it down. You need the printer guy working it remotely from, the space station, and now you got an animator guy, I think.
Well, okay, can we step back a second, Tony? Okay, so is this actually functioning? I mean, have they tested this?
Well, I mean, it's just like the transporter itself, the teleporter itself. It's all just experimental with mixed results.
And they've used pigs and they've done animals, but
and the one poor guy with the hat, the fly hat, of course.
That was sad.
Well, this is what I've been reading. So, what was that group? PETA? What does that stand for? Like people trying to be like animals.
Total toast. Always.
People want to be
I think they're people trying to be like animals. And here's the thing. What these people are like, they've been trying all different things. Nothing's working. When then they get these transporters, they're like, I want to be like a cat. They put the cat in the transporter with them. They're hoping they come out like the cat.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah. So there's definitely some moral issues with these things.
Well, also you have standards. There's like equipment, like the calibration of the equipment and the tolerance of the equipment. I mean, you've seen some of these directions, right, Tony? I mean, doesn't it say don't put animals and cats in there, or
just
can you?
Like,
or,
is
there
don't
a
put
way?
an egg in a microwave?
Or, yeah,
that's just like that.
Okay.
Just like that.
So when you say instructions, Jay, are you referring to that white packing material with words on them?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
That-
yeah.
There's instructions
There's
on
this,
packing material.
there's this packing material that comes with it. They're like flat sheets. I don't think they do a lot,
No.
but they're supposed to stabilize, I think, whatever you bought. So the bike or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's this packaging material that comes with it. It's got words on it.
Yeah.
So he referred to them as instructions. But anyways, our issue at hand is, is this going to work, and how do we animate the person? And they've got that virtual reality stuff. You put so the idea is put some optics into your digital you down
Yeah,
below, and then control you like maybe with those exoskeleton things. So as you move,
Right.
they move, or maybe run some like electrodes into your
Diodes.
brain, and then I don't know, servotronics in the elbows of this of the
Capacitors.
you, and as you move, so you can actually stay there safely on the ship, but digitally print you, and then when you're done,
Right. So I'm gone. They transport me, and I disappear.
you're still on the ship. You never go anywhere. But the digital printer you is down below.
So are there two versions of me, like a digital printer version and me?
Yeah. Oh,
And when I
absolutely.
move, now it's a copy of me, like a clone.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
it seems like it would work.
But what if they run low? Like, so when you run low, you see your sheet like it's lighter. So if they run low of
Yeah.
colors
Right.
or blood,
Or what if it reboots? The computer reboots. You how you get the screen of death and you're in an update. What if it reboots?
Yeah.
Like
You-
while you're getting copied. what I'm
oh,
saying?
like a printer error.
Like an error, like a printer error. You printed. There are moral issues here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could print as many of you as you want, I suppose. You could make an army of you and just copy.
Definitely ethical issues.
Yeah. Well, the tougher issue is if we try and do some sort of, psycho, you send your essence down.
Well, what about
to the-
faith? Yeah, what about faith in God? What happens? What happens now?
Well,
God, is there two?
I
of
don't
me?
know. Is the digital printer you now carry your soul?
Was Data real in Star Trek? Was he? Did he?
yeah, in the documentary, I don't know if they ever determined that, but yeah, good question. Like, does your
Thank you, Captain.
double have souls, or does your double? What if your double or triple like commits a crime? Do they go after you, or do they go after the triple?
Hey, it copied your DNA. It's like you almost might as well have been you. Good point.
No.
The other printer issue, of course, is if you're in the wrong mode. So if you run out of a certain color, well, so you're a different color down
Right.
there. But if you're in 2D mode and instead of 3D mode, then you risk, like if part of you is 2D, like your hand,
Right.
you go to touch your face, you might
Right.
get paper cuts on your face from your own 2D hand.
Well, isn't it? It's kind of like that game.
There's a game.
I don't know, there's a game where you just
Checkers?
kinda, not
Checkers?
like checkers. It's kind of like checkers, but it's completely
chess.
different. No, chess is kind of like checkers, but
Right.
different.
Oh, but different.
different
Operation.
pieces.
Completely
Not
different.
operation. I'm thinking more video games. It's like that video game.
Like
You
Like Merlin.
Asteroids.
Merlin.
no, Asteroids was Tari. I love that game actually.
Yeah.
No,
Pong.
It's not Pong. No, it's like the game. It's a modern game. It's a modern game.
Oh.
Young kids would know. Gabriel would know. I don't know. It's oh gosh, there's
the
shapes.
hula hoop.
There's
Whammo.
shapes. There's
Whammo.
shapes.
Tet-
No,
tet-
Whammy was a game.
Tetris.
Tetris was a
Tetris
great game. I was
shapes.
pretty good at that. And then,
Yeah.
but did you ever notice after you played Tetris, like everything looks like a Tetris board? You're walking down the hall, and suddenly like, oh, that's an L. I could fit it there.
That's on purpose.
No,
Wow.
it's what is it? It's Xbox. Not that I endorse Microsoft in any way whatsoever.
Or disendorse them.
What is the game, Jay? You have pieces, you have blocks, you build the blocks, you walk. Minecraft. Thank you, young child. Yes, Minecraft. So it's kind of like that. So like, what if the resolution was bad, Tony, and you printed blocky? So I might be 5
Oh,
blocks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Well, I know they're trying to print people. They're saving money, and they're like, well, maybe we'll save the, everything on this printer. Maybe we'll sell it, and they're replacing it with dot matrix. And people are not really coming
Or
back.
punch
Yeah.
cards. Does anybody know what a punch card is?
Yeah.
Punch cards. You had to put the whole computer program in punch
yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
What if you replace it as a punch card? I don't know what
That's
that means.
just-
What does that even mean?
I don't.
Tony?
I don't even know. I don't even think they don't even have systems that can even understand you
Right.
at this point. So, if you just joined us, you're watching Issuenight, where we talk about important, serious, underreporting issues of the day. And I'd like to get up our next set of issues. Don't do it! Don't do it! The fly.
Legal issues.
These are legal issues. Specifically, we want to talk about some new California laws that involve brain shrinking. So I guess people are having problems where they're starting to discover, like, the human brain actually in the last maybe 20 years or so has actually started to shrink a little more. Tony,
Yeah.
you know more about it?
Yeah, I mean, there's been studies, and they've studied people's brains, and they found they're shrinking, and because we're not using it as much. And they narrowed it down very cleverly, actually, to phone numbers. You know, we used to have to memorize phone numbers and look
Sure.
up phone numbers, and then even if you looked it up, you'd have to like read it and memorize it, and then punch it in. And because we're not doing that anymore, you just say, you know, hey, phone, call, Mike, Jay.
Step back here. So you're saying that because I have not been typing phone numbers in, my brain is actually smaller.
Do you think otherwise? Because that might be a symptom
I mean, I've
of-
never had my brain weighed. I would
Okay.
say possibly. I feel lighter, but you know,
Okay.
I didn't have cereal this morning, so I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, they're starting to see that in, like, geography too. So people are used to the program saying turn right, turn left, and they just do it, and they have no idea where they are. And then people, like, I had guys like, hey, I can't find your house, and I'm like, you're right in front of it. I'm looking at you, and they're like, I'm not sure if I'm here because the computer did not tell me I'm here. And the computer went off, and I don't know what
And
to
you, like,
do
go
right
off
now.
a
I'm like,
cliff or
just get
something.
out of your car.
So it took
And-
you to like the front of your house, but not to the driveway. To the
Yeah.
so you didn't know where to
So
go.
he's just like, I'm like, just get out of your car, and he's like, the computer did not tell me to
You
get
talking
out of my
about
car.
GPS, Jay?
So I think so.
Okay. Tony, I mean, what kind of studies to back this up? I mean, it seems. I mean, what are we talking about weight wise? I mean, we're talking about lots of weight difference between brains.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of brain weight to lose to cause problems. You know, mental and psychophysical kind of issues,
Metaphysical.
and being able to think clearly and so on. So, you know, I mean, even if it's just a few drops of water worth, it's going to be enough to cause problems.
Right.
And so they want to counteract
Sure.
these problems and build that brain weight back up. And so one solution that the phone companies are like, oh, they're gonna look at us. They've added some like not video games, but like math games. So if I go to call you, and I look up Mike B,
Yeah.
because
Right.
you're right near on that main page, and I press
Tony, we
you
don't
to
give
call
last
you.
initials on the show, so
Right.
don't
sorry.
give out last initials. So
Yeah.
Right. Don't worry about it.
And then what would happen is I've got to play a math game. You know,
Sure.
2 + 2 in parentheses
4.
times 6.
24.
Yes. Okay, so obviously,
Again, I work on phone numbers. I have phone numbers. My wife doesn't have a cell phone, and I
Oh.
strongly suggest kids don't get cell phones for a long time
Okay,
because it'll help your brain weight.
right.
Apparently.
Yeah.
well,
So that's one solution. But the legislatures are trying to come up with their own solutions. I think California specifically is going to completely, ban those programs that store numbers. And I'm wondering if that's a good idea.
It's not. It's good not for your bank accounts though, and that's going to be a serious problem, Tony. When they start implementing, you have to remember how much money you had in the bank before you go. And I mean, I think that's a problem, Jay. I mean, I can't remember, my birthday.
well, not only got to remember how much, you have to tell them, if you took money out and how much it was and when you did it. In fact, you have to like kind of type this up and submit it to them. And then at the same time, give them money. And then, I guess that works.
Yeah,
but-
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So the question is, is there some sort of legislative answer to making people think more? I mean, we've done it in the past. We got rid of those supersized things. And,
Right.
There's plenty of legislation out there to model this after.
Well, what do you want them to do, Tony? Exactly. What are we looking to do?
I mean, we're looking to force people to use their brain.
Yeah.
But why, Tony? I mean, why?
Well, according to the study, our brains are shrinking.
But what does that really prove?
That our brains are smaller
Yeah, but why?
because we're not using numbers.
But is that important?
Numbers can do a lot. I mean, if you don't do numbers, then it's hard to dial a phone. It's hard to
True.
pay for anything. There's a lot of math things like house, like how do I know which house it is?
Right.
There's numbers on houses now,
Right.
so
Why are our brains small again?
because you're not using dialing your phone anymore.
Just cough, Jay. When you have a problem, lift up your arms.
hands
Everybody
up.
at home, lift up your arms. I can't change the camera when I do this. Just cough when you feel like you. I
feels
sensed
good.
it.
Yeah.
Jay. I sensed the.
Again, if you just joined us, you're watching Issuenight. We're on YouTube.
We're on a lot.
I think it's YouTube they call
I
it.
don't know. We used to be on public access till they shut public access down. Rick Carneth, I'm sorry,
Okay. We
No,
don't
no last initials.
give out
Oh.
last initials.
but last names are okay.
Yeah, last names are okay. That's fine. So if you just joined us here watching Issuenight, again, we're talking about serious, important issues that need to be talked about, need to be spoken about. And our next set of issues, we call them...
Oh,
Bubble hockey update.
It's our bubble hockey update. And here's what's going on. We've had our COVID scare. There's been a big push for vaccines. The bubble hockey guys know that because normally they're at some type of establishment with a TV up to the side and they see what's going on and they're scared. And they're like, hey, we need vaccines too.
Yeah.
And we need to be protected from COVID too. And people are like, hey, you got a bubble. I think you're going to be okay. And they're like, well, what if the Canadian player gets it? What if the American goalie gets it? Now, I mean, the bar's only going to push me so far away from the goalie. Like the defensemen have nowhere to go. Like if the goalie gets it, the defenseman's probably going to get it.
the guy with the long stick's probably okay because that's about six
Right.
six bubble hockey people equivalent feet away.
True, because he's
So,
got to swing that stick around. I
Let's
see what
just
you're
be
saying,
clear,
yeah.
Jay, though. I mean, social distancing has been a part of bubble hockey since it was created. Pretty much. I mean, you had spacings. That was because they did not want intermingling. They wanted the space. That's why they had the tracks on the bubble hockey. That's why there's distancing. Okay, even before COVID, Jay, they had distancing.
Well said, and they're attached to the tracks so they don't try to escape and get out and infect people.
Right.
So there's
Very limited. It's
Yeah.
it's social. What's the word I'm looking for, Jay? Social
menacing,
distancing,
Isolation.
social. It's
spacing.
guppy.
It is spacing. No, that's a fish. No,
Spacing.
it's not that. I don't know. It's social distancing. I guess that's the best way to say it. Yeah. So, but why? I mean, that was in the 70s. The URSSR, RSR, PPR. I have no idea what's on their jersey. CC3PO. I don't know.
Yeah.
But initially it was in the 70s. They had social distancing back and then. Was this a plan? Was this the plan all along?
Probably knew that.
Yeah,
like,
they knew something was coming.
yeah. I mean, the Soviets always knew. They were always a couple steps ahead.
But I got
so.
off the track. Anyway, so they're going to wear masks. And the cost is not, they're small masks. I mean, they're not big masks. So they're able to save the environment. Small masks. And they don't breathe much air. In fact, I don't think they breathe at all.
Well, the problem is the people are going to put the masks on the bubby hockey players. Like
Right.
that's difficult
That's
to
true.
find. The nurses are like, we don't have training for this.
Jay,
I don't.
They have an answer for it. So they're going to, the puck release,
Yeah.
they're going to cut up ones, little
Masks.
bubble hockey masks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to shoot them out.
Oh,
Okay. And then each player has to catch it with their stick.
one at a time they go.
Exactly. But then someone's got to take the end of their stick and reach it up to the other players to get it on their face.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's like the difference between heaven and hell, right? Like everyone has like long spoons at a table, and in hell they're miserable because you can't feed yourself with the long spoons. But in heaven,
they're feeding each other.
you're feeding. Yeah, well said, Mike.
I don't know why people have elbows that are not
So in
working.
bubble height, they have to learn to be like that. Like, hey, we have to.
So the
put
Russian
others,
guy's going to have to help out the USA guy.
Yeah, but Tony, like that's a very old bubble hockey. Like it's normally the Canadian versus the U.S. So the Russian guys, it's been a while since we've seen them. So, but in case there is no, are you saying that's going to be a problem?
Well, I don't know. Is it?
The Soviets still think there's a Cold War going on. So I don't know if they're going to.
Jay, they waited. They didn't know, and now they put a TV in there, and now, of course, with stuff going on with
Now they
Russia
know.
now.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
they think that, you see, there is still a Cold War going on. See? Look what's going on.
They
Look
were
at
right.
TV. Like, they were right. They didn't have TV all that time. Someone turned the TV on this week, and now they saw what's going on.
Okay, so
So they got the mask on, but we got social distancing or physical distancing for most of them. But like you said, we've got the goalie and then the defenseman and especially the forward. They're getting pretty close.
Then they're getting mad and they're like, the goalie, and the defensemen are just like, you got to get the vaccine. Like, I'm not, if I'm going to be this close to you and the mask isn't going to work, then I'm going to, although the masks, they all should work. Everyone knows that. So.
Well, because I don't think they don't breathe, so I don't think they'll get the virus.
Okay, Mike, you can't make statements like that. Okay, if they say everyone gets the virus, then everyone gets the virus. That's just
okay.
You can't make statements
Really?
like that. So the problem is putting the vaccine, like getting the vaccine into those players.
Yeah.
Tony, what are they made of? What kind of epoxy are we talking about? What kind of needles do we need?
Yeah, it's funny. They did a DNA test on some of these guys. And, maybe it's a topic for another time, but they actually found some of the same DNA in these men as we do find in Legos.
Yes. Okay. Legos, same DNA.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 0.5% or something.
Right.
But so it almost looks like plastic.
Right.
It's
right. It looks like
very
plastic.
hard, rigidity.
It tests like plastic. It smells like plastic.
Yeah.
But it's not.
And but they're people, and putting a needle into that would be difficult. And then if you did get a needle in it, maybe you could pre-drill some holes or something.
Right.
Well, then you have to ask. All right, you got to be like, hey,
Joe,
number 15. We got to drill into you, and the guy's like, someone already did that. I have a bolt on my leg. I don't think I need another hole in me. But then they're like,
right.
Well, I could maybe use that hole.
The bolt in the hole. So with the vaccine getting in the lower extremity, is that going to vaccinate the player?
Well, I suppose not. I mean, it depends on how, viscous, is that the word? How likely
meniscus, Tony.
the meniscus?
I had that surgery, torn meniscus.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it worked out.
Here's the problem: is the only way this vaccine, like you're saying, needs to be viscous, is you got to heat that player up. Like that player has to become as viscous as the vaccine. And I don't know what way. How are you going to do that, Mike?
Well, you melt them down, and then
All the way down?
No, just to the point. You know that point where you're in your chair and you're about to tip over, and just before you tip over, that's where you want to melt them down to.
Oh, kind of like when you're in a class and you're just about to fall asleep.
Just about to fall asleep.
And then
You want
start
just
leaning
that
forward,
point, and you want to back it off.
And
a
then
little
you
bit.
pretend you're just adjusting
Right.
your chair. Yeah.
And once you do that, Jay, he's kind of viscosity. Is that the right word? Visceral. No,
Yeah.
that's a totally different word. Tony, what does that mean? I have no idea what that means.
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and then you inject it, and it starts to mingle, right? With your body, mingle,
Okay, so
Intermingle?
like commingle. I'm using that
Commingle.
word, commingle.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
okay,
And then it solidifies, and then it's in you.
all right, Tony.
Solid form.
Because people are dealing with an epoxy figure that possibly could have the COVID virus, what precautions are being taken when they're trying to administer the vaccine?
For the the nurses and
Yeah,
stuff.
correct.
Well, they should take standard precautions and 95 masks and the like.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, they know what they're doing.
Once again, this is Issue Night. If you just joined us, you're watching important serious issues of the day. When are we getting our last set of issues, which we like to call
That didn't look as cool.
station
Space station.
issues?
We like the space station.
So it looks like the space station is now getting charging stations, and a lot of senators and people have been advocating for that. Who's benefiting here?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Tony. You
Oh
first.
no, I'm for once, the government's being proactive.
Right.
They're sending, I think, 3 of the rapid charging charging stations
Yes.
up there. You know, I don't know when we'll get the first customer. We got a car up there already, right?
We got a car that was, back.
Launched.
It went through the drive-through, but it got stuck.
Okay. Well, at least they got the car. It moved to a point. It's going to need to be charged. So this all makes sense.
Well, there's problems, Jay. One, the car is as great as electric car is. It's not airtight, so anybody in the vehicle will actually die of like many different things. One, you can't heat it up enough. It's so cold, so the battery's not really working. So they have to leave it plugged in all the time up there. 2, I don't remember what 2 is, but 3, threes. I was just gonna say that you really have nowhere to go after you charge it because you're in an orbit. You're in a what's it called? The orbit, Tony, that you're in.
Oh yeah, like synchro.
Oh yeah, geosynchronous orbits. You're in geosynchronous orbits. So it's really, and the wheels spin. You turn the wheels, but you don't. It's not really creating momentum. It really wasn't built for space. These cars.
It doesn't matter. You feel great because you just helped saved something.
Something.
I mean, even if you're not moving, I mean, you gotta turn the wipers on,
Right.
get the radio.
But if you enter the car, you only have seconds before you die because again the heat. You can't heat the car enough. Electricity is so cold. I mean, okay.
Well, I
just
think
put it
that-
this way.
I
they
think
haven't
that-
gone to the car. They haven't tried the car yet. I mean, they
well,
have the
it's up there.
stations. It's up there.
It's floating around. It's got a convertible.
Right.
Right. Didn't Musk send his own vehicle up there? So
He did, but that's that's
yeah. Well,
a different type of
when
orbit.
it comes around again,
True.
they'll charge.
I don't think that was an electric car though, Tony.
Wasn't it Tesla? I think it was.
I don't think it was a functioning Tesla. I think it really was just a hollowed vehicle.
So
Could be wrong.
you got to get in this car. If you're lucky to survive, if you plug the hole because it's not sealed, then you got to blast that heat because what's the temperature in space? I mean,
is it absolute zero? It's not absolute zero. Is it?
3 degrees above absolute zero.
Really?
3
Okay.
degrees Kelvin, I think.
so you're going to want to make sure you're good with the heat controls, that the charger has charged your heater so you can just survive
True.
long enough to order from the drive-thru.
True.
And then go back. And I think that's why they need 3 stations
Yeah.
because, by the time you leave the first station, you're almost out of,
Right.
charge. So you go right to the next one.
But I think 2 of the stations are inside the space station. I thought, Tony, one's outside, 2 are in because they really only have one vehicle and they're trying to retrofit it to do other things.
So, yeah.
I mean, they're trying to make it
I mean, cars aren't the only thing that you can use chargers, right?
like your shaver,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You can
got to recharge your shaver.
charge phones or
they're kind of big chargers, but
They are big
it
and
might
they probably blow it
work
up.
really fast.
Right.
I mean,
It would be a fast charge.
yeah.
In your cell phone, because they did bring this. All the different guys. The Russian brought his cell phone up there. Verizon's trying to get up there.
But I have to
save the
believe eventually. I mean, we'll need them for our spaceships and
Yes,
stuff.
we will.
Right.
Yeah, I would say so.
So
I don't think there's electric spaceships, though. I think they're planning to go a different route than electric.
well,
I mean, the environmentalists want to do electric spaceships to save the environment. No fuel. Everything we need electric. Is that even possible, Tony?
probably not to get up there. Once
I mean,
you're up
to get
there,
off the planet.
Yeah, no, I think you need like hydrazine or some sort of propellant
Plasma.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
okay, so
So-
tell me why is there a charger outside of the station?
So that the person drives up. Well, they really can't drive up. They kind of float up, and then they're going to charge their vehicle for more charge. That's the plan.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you want to build the infrastructure.
Right.
You build
You
it,
want
and
the
they will
infrastructure.
come, right?
Like
Yeah.
they're doing here on the planet. They're trying to do all these charging stations, you know,
Okay.
but they can't because there's no infrastructure, and there's not enough cars, and not enough materials and natural resources.
Yeah, build
you
it,
know,
build it, and they will come.
Right.
We'll get there.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Good.
Once again, you've been watching Issue Night,
Watching
and
Issue Night.
we are out of issues. So don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. And join us next time for another edition of Issue Night.